From This Corner with John Ball is brought to you by KNEO 91.7 The Word.
From This Corner, I'm John Ball, and I have a very special guest, a guy that I've actually spent as much time with in the last 2 years as I have my wife, but we won't tell her that, will we, Josh?
No, and heavy on the special there, John, or you are. I'm just blessed to be here.
Oh, my guest is Josh King. Josh has been following Neosho Sports for 26 plus years and has been the voice of Neosho Wildcats for a long, long time. And Josh, we're bringing all that to a close. We did that last night with our final baseball game, didn't we?
Yeah, it was very bittersweet. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing all these games. I know I've done well over 1,000 games over the course of my career, and I've thoroughly loved being part of the lives of these kids and families. It's very special just knowing that people are familiar with your voice, and that it just doesn't seem right if you're not part of it. To have that identity has been special, yet I've been juggling a lot of things for many years, and there's areas I'd like to be more involved in, and what I do, I'd like to be better at what I do, and so something had to give. I've graduated my youngest child, my daughter, who will be moving to Tennessee to go to school where my son is at Freed-Hardeman University. And with that being said, I might actually decide to go visit those kids on occasion, John. I kind of like those kids, so may need to be some opportunity to make a trip out west or east on occasion. And additionally, being involved with my church family at the Hillcrest Church of Christ, I'd like to be able to be even more committed in that regard. There's always things I can do better, so I just needed to take one iron out of the fire.
Well, and it's unfortunate for us that it was that one iron, but I got to tell you, I really wish now, looking back over the last couple of years, and I know my sample size is considerably smaller than yours, but the number of miles that we've logged in a car over the last couple of years has been phenomenal. I can't imagine how many miles you put on a vehicle in the last 25, 26 years.
Yeah, it's been a lot of windshield time, but none has been more enjoyable than the last few years getting to travel with you, John. That's the relationships mean as much to me as anything, and you're such a wonderful individual, and it's been such a blessing to travel around with you. Of course, I've also had several others that have helped me over the years. Charlie Collinsworth and I did games for a long, long time. I've been involved with Eric Hughes, Charlie Hughes, but Eddie Snow was my best friend growing up. He broke in with me right out of the get-go. My first year of broadcasting was East Newton Patriot football, and he did that year with me. But it's those relationships that really mean so much, and we've had so many great conversations over the years just to be able to share each other's heart with one another, and that'll genuinely be something that I will miss, but you and I, we're just a phone call away. Hopefully we'll keep this relationship, because it has meant quite a lot to me over these last few years.
Well, it's been an awful lot to me, too, and you're very nice to say nice things about me, but I got to tell you, some of the things that I have learned from you in the last few years is the way that you have a genuine desire to care about the kids, to care about the coaches, and I'll tell you, sometimes it's pretty tough after a coach has actually gotten blown out to come back up and do an interview with us, and some of those guys are really, really classy people, and you don't spend a lot of time talking about how they got blown out or why they should do this or why they should do that. You always talk about me being the Pollyanna. When it comes to things like that, you're very, very much on their side, and you kind of let them get away with saying good things about the kids because those are important.
It absolutely is. I think it's twofold. First off, they're kids. They're 15, 16, 17 years old. What they do out there, they're not doing in a malicious way. We all make mistakes. At that age, they're not professional athletes. They're out there playing a game. Bad things are going to happen. There's no reason to run that kid into the ground and make them feel horrible. If there's a turnover at a critical time in the game, you're going to talk about the turnover. You're going to talk about things that happened in a bad way, but there's no reason to belabor the fact. There's plenty of positives that can be talked about, and that's where I have always intended to keep my focus. When I was the sports editor at Neosho Daily, same philosophy. You want to focus on the positive. And when you talk to coaches, coaches juggle a lot, and these coaches are educators also, and most of them have family as well. And I know what they deal with all the time. I don't mean to overgeneralize here, but it's hard even contending with parents whenever the coach is in practice every day with those kids. The parents aren't. We all have our rose-colored glasses when it comes to our parents, and it's tough trying to make the administration, parents, everybody happy as a coach, and yet you're trying to win games. And I so appreciate good coaches, and I very much appreciate those that are of high character. What if I had the perfect coach? He would be a great character guy and an X's and O's guy, but it's hard to find that combination. If I had my druthers, I'd rather have a high character guy, because those are helping form our citizens, helping mold our youth. That's the type of coaches that I've really appreciated over the years, and there's been many that I've had that blessing to have that interaction with. But whenever you're talking about playing a game, it is a game, and we just need to keep that in perspective and focus on the good that comes out of the game.
Well, there's no doubt about it, especially in the last couple of years with the opportunities we've had to get to know coaches up close and personal. It's not a job to them, it's a calling, and they most definitely are molding kids to be great contributors to society and people of character and integrity. And I think the coaches that we've talked to, without a doubt, do exactly that.
Yeah, it's evident that, I'll just single out Danny Powers, who we've talked to quite a bit recently. I commend him in that he's making a tough decision for the benefit of his family right now. He's got 3 young boys and a wife that he would like to be more involved with. And but as a coach, you could not make that man say something negative about his players on a post game. Hardly ever. He almost could be a politician in terms of how he could just dance right out of whatever question, albeit to the point you made earlier. I'm not going to really put him on the spot per se with my questions anyway, but he would always look for the silver lining in whatever scenario you threw at him, and he did a great job of building his kids up. And back to the high character that you would like to have in coaches, I applaud Danny just for the class that he always demonstrated in interacting with us, even after those tough losses. Somebody can argue strategy all day with coaches, but that's not what I'd like to focus on with coaches. It's character. And certainly Danny Powers, I thought, was an exemplary case of just a high character coach.
Well, there's no doubt about it. One other thing that I think is really important when I ask people, what does Josh King bring to the game? Here's what they say almost every time. The excitement that guy has is next to none. The energy that you bring to each and every ball game, and how in the world you throw yourself into football, softball, baseball, basketball, all at one time is just, how do you do that?
Well, I enjoy sports. I love sports. There's nothing like it in terms of just the exhilaration that you can get from just a quick turnaround 3-point basket in basketball, or hitting a home run, or just, it's the unexpected things that bring out excitement. And I would like to think over the course of years, I hope I've gotten better as a broadcaster. I know early on in my career it was hard to pace myself because I was so excitable, and you learn to hopefully show some moderation, but you can't help but get excited when you see a kid, 15, 16-year-old kid do something exemplary out on that playing field or court. Get excited about it. Whenever I was running my own little business with NeoshoWildcatSports.com, I would cut out highlights, and it just blew me away how much the kids ate up those highlights. We had this little summer contest where you pick the highlight of the year, and we had like 60,000 votes filter in the course of a week. Just on the highlight of the year. And, I know kids probably were sitting on the website just voting time after, because it only took a few seconds to vote. But you know what? If they cared enough to do that, that means it meant something to them. So why not give these kids that moment, because they'll never get to be a high school athlete again, and this is a special time for them.
Yeah, it is. And kind of speaking of excitement, in your 25 plus years of broadcasting, give me some of the plays that excited you.
There's been a lot of them. I was there whenever, Tyler Chaney made that half-court heave to beat Ruskin in the Neosho Holiday Tournament, and that was a game where Neosho came back from, I believe, a 12-point deficit in the second half, and then ultimately, he catches that inbound pass, takes a couple steps, heaves it from half court, and Neosho shocks Ruskin. That was such a thriller of an event. I remember Denny Chenoweth's bunch there. They that same year was the year in which you had Kickapoo and Glendale were ranked, I think, number 2 and number 3 in the state, and in the district they were the first and second seed, and the Wildcats were the 3rd seed. And as that tournament unfolded, everyone just assumed Kickapoo and Glendale would play for the championship, and this whole tournament was being played in Joplin. They talked about moving the tournament to Springfield for the championship game that everyone just assumed as a foregone conclusion, which would be between Glendale and Kickapoo. But Neosho upset Kickapoo in the semifinals, beat Glendale in the championship. That was a thriller. You and I were part of an exciting Republic football game this past year where you had Gage Kelly was able to punch the ball in on the final play of the game to secure a win for the Wildcats. Tim Henson hit a grand slam walk-off home run against Joplin in the late 90s. That was a thrilling contest. I mean, there's been so many over the years, and I really haven't spent a lot of time thinking back of them specifically. Maybe in years to come they'll keep coming back to me, but just any game where you have a kid shine, and there's been several performances where I've seen multiple three-point baskets made from kids, and it's just, I love being there in the moment, and that's where I've been blessed to be.
Well, my sample is not nearly as big as yours, but here's one that I'm going to remember forever. Neosho's playing Willard. They have a kid by the name of Danny Abreu that is a class act.
Yeah.
And he shoots the ball, and Sam Cooke had to have gone 12 feet in the air to swat that ball. And I remember Josh King saying, "Get that thing out of here!"
Yeah. Hey, it's hard to beat a rejection when somebody's able to swat it into the second row. And Sam Cooke, that was really his forte. Big, tall, lanky, athletic kid, and he could reach up into the sky. So a rejection was just waiting to happen anytime Sam Cooke was on the court, and to be able to do that to a player of the caliber of Daniel Abreu, who certainly is one of the best high school basketball players we've had in Southwest Missouri in a long time. 6'5", could shoot the three, do anything he wants, slam and jam, and to get a shot rejected with some emphasis, as Sam was able to do. That was exciting to see.
And the thing about Sam was he was a very quiet, humble sort of guy, He thought a lot of the rest of his team, and he didn't say it was a hard interview because he wouldn't talk much, right?
Yeah, he was not the easiest to try to get words out of, but he had a great contagious smile. That's been a fun thing the last few years, is getting to interview all these kids on the post game. I was thinking Carter Finsky. We had that game where he started 5 of 6 from the 3-point land, and yet I think we had him for a post game interview twice early in the season. I know we had him on the post game final regular season game of last year when he hit his first career 3, and yet Chris, his father, was a former coach. It was evident that Carter was saying all the right things as a team player and giving credit to teammates. And that has always impressed me out of kids whenever it's evident that they know that it's a team game and they give credit to the lineman or to the, whoever fed them the pass, whoever gave them the assist. That is, something. When kids can learn and demonstrate that humility at such a young age, that speaks very high of their character, I think, going forward.
I think that happened with almost every kid that we interviewed on the basketball team this year. They were not necessarily interested in talking about themselves as they were talking about their team, talking about other guys on the team, talking about how good they were and what opportunities they were. And I'd have to say that this Neosho High School basketball team of this last year had more heart than any team that I've had an opportunity to witness.
Yeah, they really played, I think, to the level of their competition, and I said it in a good way. They would raise their game in big games. Sometimes teams play down to the level of the team they're playing, but I really felt like the Wildcat basketball team rose to the occasion many times, and I think a lot of that is credited to Zane Colt, who has really grown as a coach in his short career, and he's a homegrown coach that I hope we can have for many a years. And he's handled himself very well in the post game. Before I'd be remiss, we talk about big games. I can't help, John, to think of games that have involved my children where they've hit exciting 3-point baskets. My son Caden King has shot near 40% from 3-point land and was a great free throw shooter in his high school career. But I had a really touching few occasions with Briley last year in the holiday tournament. She hit a 3-pointer right at the buzzer at the half, and it was picked up by the TV station too, and they played my audio to go with Briley's 3. That was fun, but I'll never forget this past year. Of course, my daughter blew out her ACL in volleyball season and had her volleyball season cut short, was not able to play basketball at all, but a credit to Ryan Madison, the Neosho coach, to Drew Schulte, the Seneca coach. They arranged for her to have an uncontested basket in the first home game of this season, and that meant so much to me, just to be able to call that basket, and that's something that I'll cherish forever. And that is one of the most important things to me in retrospect, is being able to be involved with my kids through the games that they played, and certainly that plays into the timing also as to why I'm hanging it up now. But I have got both of my kids through high school, and again, it'll always be special as I reminisce and think back to those times where I was calling a game and my kid was down there on the field or the court.
Well, Josh, I'm going to tell you that you're leaving in some big, big shoes to fill, and we will manage some way or another. I, my friend, feel a personal loss and will continue to feel that personal loss. You and I have been through a whole lot, as I said on the broadcast last night. I want to say again, we've probably put in more windshield time in the last couple of years than anybody. You really get to know someone. And I think not only Neosho, but Neosho's school system and Neosho Sports is a better place because of you. And I personally want to thank you for the experience that you've given me and the help that you've given me along the way.
Well, John, I appreciate your kind words. I'm really blessed to have had the situation that I've had, where I've been able to call so many games for a long time. If I've been able to impact anyone's life for the better, I just count it a blessing. I'm not going to promise that I'm done forever. Maybe I'll get back and do some games in the future at some point, but for the time being, I'm looking for an opportunity to focus more on my family, more on my church family, and just be better at the things that I'm already doing. I'm also blessed. I'm the manager of our billing services at New Mac Electric. Great place to work, and I want to see things continue to improve with how our cooperative serves the membership. So again, thank you to you, John, for all that you've done for me, and KNEO. It's been a wonderful relationship the last few years. I'm so thankful that we were able to join forces and to be able to give all of the viewers this great package where they can watch their children and hear the audio. Everything's been a blessing. I'm a blessed man, and I thank you for your kindness.
Well, and I'll tell you, I'm going to have the last word, and the last word is this. It's your desire to impact people that makes you such a special person, and the city of Neosho and the school district is fortunate to have had that in you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, John.